Today we've got a loaded lineup. Ariel Helwani breaks down the Jon Jones title drama. Sean O'Malley's coach is calling a knockout in the Merab rematch, and a training partner is raising serious concerns about Jon Jones's behavior. Plus, we've got Robert Whittaker throwing shade at a UFC rematch nobody asked for. Beneil Dariush analyzing Topuria versus Oliveira, and even a potential Tony Ferguson versus Dillon Danis revival. Let's get into it. Ariel Helwani has weighed in on the growing movement demanding that Jon Jones be stripped of his UFC heavyweight title. Over 115,000 people have already signed a petition pushing for Jones to be stripped, and Helwani brought up an interesting point. Jon recently said he already told the UFC what his plans were, so if he made it clear he's not going to fight Tom Aspinall anytime soon, why is the UFC still holding up the division? At this point, the delay doesn't seem to be on Jones anymore. It looks more like the UFC is dragging its feet. What's even crazier is that Jones is close to setting the record for the longest heavyweight title reign in UFC history just 2 months away. But it's not due to a string of title defenses. He won the belt, got injured, and hasn't fought since. It's inactivity, not dominance, that's about to put him in the history books. Meanwhile, interim champ Tom Aspinall is stuck in limbo, holding a belt he can't unify. Fans are growing more frustrated as time passes with no official updates. Either Jon needs to come back and fight, or the UFC should let Aspinall move forward. Helwani emphasized the messiness of the situation. He admitted there's no clear black and white narrative. He once defended the UFC for meeting Jon's terms, but now that Jon reportedly declined to fight months ago, the blame shifts back. Why hasn't Aspinall gotten another opponent? Fans have spoken with that petition, and it's hard to ignore now. Sean O'Malley's coach Tim Welch is predicting a third-round knockout over Merab Dvalishvili in their upcoming rematch. Welch argued that their first fight at UFC 306 didn't showcase what Sean can truly do. He pointed to the old gloves and an injury O'Malley had going into the fight as major issues. Still, Welch didn't discredit Merab. He acknowledged that the Georgian is currently the top bantamweight in the division. O'Malley has also reflected on the loss, admitting that he underestimated Merab and expected an easy win. Now he says he's coming in with a whole new mindset and strategy. What's even more surprising is that in an interview with Michael Bisping, Merab himself explained how O'Malley could beat him. He said that Sean can't stay on the outside again. He needs to close the distance and get dirty. Merab even admitted that Sean's body kicks were damaging and that he should keep targeting the body. Welch believes this time will be different, especially with the old gloves back. He predicts Sean will land a big shot and finish Merab in the third round. Whether it leads to a trilogy or not, Welch says O'Malley is ready to go the full 25 minutes if needed. Vugar Orujov, an Olympic wrestler who trains with Jon Jones, recently revealed some troubling details about Jones' recent training habits. According to Orujov, Jones has been taking frequent breaks during practice, something completely out of character for the usually relentless champion. He described Jones stepping out of sessions, disappearing for long stretches, then returning only to leave again. Orujov also mentioned that he's seen Jones smoking weed and falling asleep during training, which is very unlike the focused version of Jon that he's known. While Orujov respects Jones's privacy, he couldn't help but express concern. He noted that everyone goes through personal struggles, but this sudden change in discipline could affect Jon's future performances, especially with a possible fight against Tom Aspinall looming. Aspinall's speed and power are no joke, and if Jon isn't 100% locked in, it could be a serious problem. Robert Whittaker didn't hold back when asked about the rumored rematch between Alexander Volkanovski and Yair Rodriguez. Like most fans, he sees little reason for this fight to happen again. The first meeting was one-sided, and even though Volkanovski has since suffered a couple of losses, there's still little buzz around running it back. Even Yair's dominant win over Patricio Pitbull hasn't swayed public opinion. The fight fans really want is Yair versus Diego Lopes. The two had a fiery exchange at the UFC 314 press conference, and with both fighters being Mexican, it would be a perfect main event for UFC Noche in Mexico. Whittaker said the first Volkanovski-Yair fight clearly showed the gap between the two, especially mentally. He doesn't mean to offend, but he just doesn't see a compelling reason to revisit that matchup right now. All eyes are on Lopes versus Rodriguez. That's the fight with heat and storylines fans can get behind. Beneil Dariush, who was finished by Oliveira in 2023, gave his thoughts on the upcoming Topuria Oliveira matchup. While he favors Ilya, he doesn't think it'll be a walk in the park. Dariush pointed to Oliveira's dangerous knees, clinch work, and tricky timing tools that could frustrate Topuria's boxing-heavy style. Sean Strickland is officially back in training after recovering from the broken nose he suffered in his February loss to Drake Dupie. The former middleweight champ was recently seen getting in some sparring rounds with none other than Platinum Mike Perry. Although Perry hasn't fought since his 2024 loss to Jake Paul, he's clearly staying sharp. The two linked up at Extreme Couture in Las Vegas, where they traded live rounds. Perry later shared the full sparring session on Instagram with a caption that read, "LOL, fun round with Strickland. MMA man's a beast. It was an honor to work with you, and I'm learning a lot. Watch out, cause Platinum is branching out." As of now, neither Perry nor Strickland has a fight officially booked. However, given that a broken nose typically sidelines UFC fighters for at least 6 months, and Strickland's injury occurred on February 8th, he should be cleared to compete again by early August. That opens the door for a potential return before the end of the year. Interestingly, Israel Adesanya recently mentioned to David Goggins that he wants a rematch with Strickland, which could mean a second showdown between the two is on the UFC's radar. In other news, despite the collapse of the GFL's debut event, Tony Ferguson hasn't ruled out a clash with Dillon Danis. Ferguson stirred the pot with a recent Instagram post, sharing a photo of himself with Danis and writing, "Ah yes, the journey is the part you remember. Anyway, old Moose Knuckle Danis is still going to get demolished. I know Kung Fu, wah wah wah. Act accordingly and form rank. Champ CSO. Fight news soon." According to Bloody Elbow, Danis responded through a private Instagram story saying, "Let him know I'm going to ankle pick the original GFL event that was expected to host their fight was cancelled, and no new date has been announced yet. But with both fighters continuing to talk, don't be surprised if this one gets revived."
Charles Oliveira has been dropped by just about everybody that he's fought. What happens when you go up against a dude that's knocking people out, not TKOing people, knocking people out cold like Ilia Topuria? Ilia Topuria goes high-low. He can go to the body. He can go up top. We saw him one time at 155 pounds where he did get hurt, but the matador in him, he came back and he ended up knocking him out. Charles Oliveira is the bigger fighter, taking down Michael Chandler, taking down Justin Gaethje with those beautiful double legs. Charles Oliveira is the guy that has to make those adjustments. If not, it's going to be the double champ. It's going to be Ilia Topuria securing himself as a 2-division world champion.
Yair was tough as hell, okay? But if there's anyone that can finish him, it will be Alexander Volkanovski. There's a chance it goes to the scorecards though, but make no mistake, I've got Volkanovski winning this. I really don't think that anyone in the featherweight division is going to trouble him anytime soon. And I'm just going to throw it out there. I'll say TKO. TKO, round 5 for Volkanovski, the man something special.
That's a wrap for this edition of House of MMA. From Helwani's take on the heavyweight title logjam to knockout predictions and possible comeback matchups, the MMA world never sleeps, and neither do we. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe for all the latest fight news, hot takes, and behind-the-scenes insight. Until next time, stay sharp, stay savage, and we'll see you in the next round.